It's Movie Day. I'm Ray Love Jr.
And I'm Tre'vell Anderson.
And we are Seated, the Blackest show about movies.
Yes. Today, we are going to be discussing one of my dumpuary must-see movies, and that's Dead Man's Wire.
Yes. Is it a dump or is it actually worth being seated for? We will find out today. But first, we got our first listener letter sent in to holla@seatedshow.com.
Yes. And so what that means, okay, if you have something you want to say, go on, hit us up at holla@seatedshow.com and you might hear us read it out on the show. We have a letter from, I'm going to call them Shabutakwe, okay?
Shabutakwe. Okay, spell that for the people because, the captions
don't worry about it. We don't need to take up the airwaves going through the spelling bee, okay? But Shabutakwe Jenkins, okay, says, "Greetings, Tre'vell and Ray. I'm interested in hearing about the things that you see that no one else picks up on, not even other critics, and why those storylines stick with you. Here's what I mean. In Companion, that's a movie that came out last year. We've talked about it on the show because you really enjoyed it, Ray.
I did.
In Companion, I did not know who the android was in the same-sex couple. So I should say, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Companion. Androids, the person says, usually do not have scars without an explanation. This led me to the possibility that Eli could not be the robot because he is non-white looking and or full-figured, blah, 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 blah. This is something that they couldn't get out of their mind that other people, didn't seem to care about. And so their question is, the book industry has sensitivity readers. What about sensitivity viewers? I hear about all these Hollywood notes. What kind of notes are being given? Where are the jobs and paychecks for folks to view films with a critical eye prior to release? And if there are jobs, who is getting them and how does someone get one? Okay.
So we've got a few questions up in there.
We've got a few things in there. Let's start with, what are things in movies that no one else sees but that you always pick up on? Would you like to start?
Yeah, for me, I come to movies as like something that is my leisurely activity. It's my hobby, as Tre'vell pointed out. I don't go in really thinking critically. Like, I'm not going in with questions. I more so like going to movies leaving with questions, and then unpacking those with people out in the world who are smarter than me, have more of a tighter lens on things, and just going in to dissect them. Because for me, it's about the enjoyment of it all. And so that's typically why on the show, like, there are things that I may pick up that Tre'vell isn't picking up because I think I'm going in with less obligation to see things, which kind of frees up the imagination, I guess, to notice things that others may not notice. And like, even being someone with like my personal experience and like bringing my nuance of experience to things, like what I see someone sitting next to me may not see because they're not a big black gay man. And like, those are the things that I carry with me through my experiences and how I see things. And so I think a lot of times these things are individual to us and like things that we've experienced or things that we notice because they are our personal experiences. So you saying something like not noticing or noticing different features with androids, all of that, I think it's because you may already have a personal sensitivity to it, and so therefore you see this thing differently, or like you're looking for things. And they say trauma informs how we experience a thing, and I think that's very much so something that I bring to movies. But Tre'vell, I'm really curious, like as a critic and someone getting paid to do this thing, like your opinion and your critical eye has a bit more stakes when you're seeing a film than it may have for like an everyday person like myself.
Yeah, it's interesting because there are definitely times and moments where I'm watching a movie and I know I'm the only one who's paying attention to that thing, right? One thing that comes to mind for me is, a lot of my work is around trans visibility, non-binary visibility. Anytime a they, them pops up in a film, I'm analyzing both a they them in an embodiment, and also what we see more often than not is people talking about trans people, non-binary people, etc. in various different ways. So like that's something that I'm always attuned to, and when we do see a queer, trans, non-binary character on screen, I'm I'm trying to look for that thing that connects to me as being real and being authentic and being true. Another thing that pops in my head, specifically with Black characters or with movies that have Black characters in them, I'm always trying to. Well, it's important for me. Authenticity is an important aspect of any film, and as a Black person who has moved through many communities, I feel like I know what it is like to be a Black person moving through various kinds of communities, whether it's a Black community, whether it's a white community, whether it's a mixed race community, et cetera, on screen. And so I'm paying attention to when the Black woman goes to bed, does she have on a bonnet?
Yeah.
Or is the pillowcase made out of silk?
Yeah.
You know, when the Black man is doing his grooming, is he using bevel?
Right.
Or is he using, the cheap little thing that you get from Walmart?
Yeah.
And both can be.
It definitely says a lot about their experiences and what type of Black person this is, or
Very
what
much
spaces
so.
they're navigating. Yeah, because you brought up something in After the Hunt, I think it was, with the non-binary character there, and like you were noticing things that I didn't notice, or I was noticing things that I had questions about because it wasn't my experience. Yeah, so I think it's really important that you call that out, because we look at it because sometimes we're looking for specific things because we want to see ourselves represented, or we want to see how someone who lives or exists like me in this world that the creator's making is handled in their world to understand what they feel about us. Yeah.
Is it real?
Yeah.
Is it real within the world that you have created on this screen? Is how I come to it. So those are a couple things that I just often find myself zeroing in on as a authenticity meter, if you will. But then these other questions here, I just want to get to really quickly about sensitivity readers, sensitivity viewers. So you're a comms professional. You've worked at studios, production companies, etc. Tell the people about it. I don't know if we would call it sensitivity viewers, but
So from my side of things, working in marketing, which is considered technically post-production, sometimes it can influence what actually makes it to a final cut, because we do a couple of things. So one of the things we do are test screenings. And so test screenings, typically you'll be inviting in a sample group of people. Sometimes they are specific to where you want to make sure that you're getting Black people between the ages of 18 and 25 to see a thing and see how it lands on it, just for their feedback, to either, one, understand if the director or filmmaker's ideas and intentions are being translated to the intended audience. And sometimes once we give those notes to the director or to the studio, they'll go back and make edits. There have been instances where there have been whole reshoots.
Absolutely.
But sometimes it's really from the PR and marketing side of things. It gives us a way to better predict how people will react to this thing, so that we can respond appropriately as we're marketing this thing, and creating the appropriate sensitivity trainings that are needed for talent or filmmakers to go out into the space and talk about this thing that they created.
Media training, yeah.
Media training is a part of the media training, so that we're speaking to the thing and not, if you're smart about it, not making what may be a tense subject matter worse through a junket or a press interview. An example that calls back to me is, I don't know if people remember this, but years ago, I worked on a project called The Birth of a Nation, which was
girl, we remember The Birth of a Nation, girl.
Yeah. And so the agency I was working at the time wasn't a part of the process, because it was an indie film, the initial production process. But then once it went to the studio head who was in charge of promoting the film reached out to our agency and asked, for our advisement on how to approach this conversation, knowing that like what came out about Nate Parker, the star, was coming, and like we were very in touch with the community they were looking to market this film to, and providing advisement. So that is a job, like that is a role. Like when you ask the question about how do people get paid for this, or where the opportunities for people to work in a space of sensitivity training, it's more so like that. You can take being a PR or marketing professional as a way to influence that in a way. We also hire when I worked for a larger agency, we hire in-market reps to work those test screenings where we're having within like different markets, like a Knoxville or somewhere that's not a big city. So that's an opportunity. Like I don't know where those exist now with the industry having fluctuated the way that it has since, but that's another opportunity to work in that space. And yeah, so that's from my side. But Tre'vell, I'm curious from your side of things, because there's also something that you'll maybe notice in the credits where they say like consultant or something for a film. And I'm curious to know if you are aware of or have participated in anything like that.
Yeah, not anything narrative. Not anything narrative, but for the third season of Legendary, which is a TV show.
We're taking ballroom to the masses. Ballroom is here. Welcome to Legendary.
We are back.
This is the home of Legendary performances.
10 new houses, battle it out for $100,000.
Hello. Bring them on.
I'm showing the girls how it's done.
Y'all know what Legendary was. I ain't even explaining it. Don't piss me off. But I was a consulting producer on the third season of Legendary. And then also I participated in a couple documentaries. Disclosure, which is on Netflix, about trans visibility and heightened scrutiny, which came out last year and is a documentary about it. It mainly is about Chase Strangio, who was and is the only trans person to have defended a case in front of the Supreme Court. He's a lawyer with the ACLU, but it also talks about the role of media and journalism in perpetuating some of the anti-trans bias that we are navigating as a community right now. And Sam Feder, who directed both of those documentaries, anybody who you see on camera is listed as a consulting producer for both of those. That's something that he does intentionally to, one, kind of heighten the role and the input of those of us who find ourselves on screen, and then also gives us the opportunity, right, to provide feedback and you know, other kinds of notes. And so I say that to say, consulting producers are often folks who are working in Hollywood in some way, shape, or form, or have some sort of expertise, right? And so I was a consulting producer on Legendary because of my coverage of queer and trans communities, particularly Black queer and trans communities, and it was a show about ballroom, right? And so there are roles, there are positions, but a lot of it comes through some sort of expertise, right? And so a movie like After the Hunt, for example, since you brought it up, might have a consulting producer who does work in sexual assault. Right? They might have a consulting producer who is particularly concerned about how the certain things are rendered on screen, right? Or in the script. And so it can run. And then as a film critic, more broadly, various studios often reach out to different film critics in advance, similar to the kind of test screenings you mentioned, to like get advanced input, and so all of those things are chargeable. Not everyone charges, but I do. Praise the Lord. And so those are we probably gave you too much of a response than you were expecting, Shabudakwe. But that is kind of a little toe dip, if you will, in terms of like behind the scenes in the industry, in terms of like how these how things end up on screen, right? And the many eyeballs that see it before it hits the screen.
I'm glad you mentioned that very deep experience with consulting on a film or project, and it actually just shifted what my Good Vibes Only recommendation is going to be at the end of the episode. So stick around, Shabuda, I got a little bit more for you in this question.
Period. Okay. Now listen, if you want to be like Shabuda, okay, you can drop us a line at holla, HOLLA, at seatedshow.com. Okay, you could also drop a comment if you're watching on the YouTube, drop it down below. You can you can subscribe. We absolutely want you to subscribe. And then you can rate us if you are just one of our audio listeners. Rate us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It helps folks find the show.
Yes. Speaking of finding the show and subscribing, I do want to mention our Seated Movie Club that is growing by the day. We have a few new members, so if you haven't tapped in yet, go to seatedshow.com/join and join the conversation. We're about to get things going over in that space, and we're excited to have more of you join.
Yes. All right, y'all. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to dive into Dead Man's Wire. Why you sound like that? We'll come back after the break. Go on.
Grab a snack and come on back. We are deep in the trenches of Dumpuary, where films are sent to die a silent death, and the algorithm is giving us the bare minimum on the movie front, outside of award season hype and FYC campaigns. But on this here show, we are seated for Dead Man's Wire because, let's be honest, we love seeing a white man crashing out on screen.
I'm a man that's fighting for everything that he owns, sir.
So what's your plan, Tony, huh? What's next? This is a dead man's wire.
If anybody yanks on me or yanks on that gun, he'll die.
Listen, Tony, you've made your point.
I want a formal apology from Meridian Mortgage. I want financial compensation for all the money I would have had, and I want to walk out of here a free man.
And yet, the whole time I'm watching this movie, my mind wanders to another film, the 2022 movie Breaking, starring John Boyega and Nicole Beharie. In this movie, Boyega played Brian Brown Easley, based on a real-life black veteran who held up a bank outside of Atlanta because the VA withheld his disability check. He was polite, he was desperate, he just wanted to be heard.
I'm sorry. Okay. This is Sergeant Bernard. Is everyone all right in there?
As long as everybody stays calm, nobody gets hurt. I have a bomb, and I'm gonna kill myself and everybody in here. My demands, and I'm in.
In Dead Man's Wire, it's a similar story, but instead you have a white man named Tony Karitzis in Indianapolis who wires a sawed-off shotgun to the neck of the president of a mortgage company and holds him hostage for 3 days. This white man's crash out is treated, let's say, differently. In this film, we get to see two black folks bear witness to the potentially violent scene from very different perspectives. They're the ones witnessing this man get a grace, a patience, and a media spectacle that Brian Brown Easley never got in Breaking. In Dead Man's Wire, you have Colman Domingo as the smooth-talking radio DJ who the killer is absolutely obsessed with. He becomes the therapist, the negotiator, the only voice getting through the static.
Fred, that Tony Karitzis fella's on the line and he's asking to speak to you. The guy with the shotgun in the man's neck?
Wait. You should open with that shit, James.
Oh, sorry, I thought you knew.
Wait, he's on the line with me right now.
Yes, sir.
Fuck. Okay, listen, I'm gonna need you to call my wife, all right? Tell her I'm gonna be late. I don't know which call is scarier.
Then you have Myha'la, afro out, looking super fly, playing the on-air correspondent who was fighting to be seen in her newsroom. She's not just reading a teleprompter, she's going full-out rogue. She's bypassing the A-team, defying her news director, and inserting herself into the story because she knows this is her chance.
What's going on? I'm hearing a robbery.
It looked like a white guy strapped a shotgun to another white guy's head.
Jesus, a shotgun?
It's a circus, and they just left.
What do you mean they left?
Well, the guy with the gun made that little blonde fella steal a cop car just now, and it feels like the police are just letting it happen.
All right, well, thanks for being there on such short notice, Linda. I'm gonna tell the whole department, and we'll get the A-team on it from here. Thanks. Why don't you come on down to the
studio, and we'll make sure you get lunch.
Well, hold on now a minute. I heard the name of the apartment complex that they're going to. I know some folks in that building. I could be there as soon as they land.
What apartment complex?
I'll show you on camera. And you'll let me report some real news for once, not some fuzzy, feel-good charity segment that people will tune out. How about that?
Linda?
Though set in 1977, this story feels timely because we're living in a time where true crime reigns supreme. From Ryan Murphy's Monster series, which brought our girl Niecy Nash her Emmy, to the endless documentaries and podcasts and constant production, pop culture is obsessed with tragedy as entertainment. But usually, Black folks in these stories are either the ignored victims or the bystanders shaking their heads in the background. In this film, we're giving a bit more of a license to shape the story through the media. We're the ones trying to make it make sense. So this is what we're unpacking today on Seated. When we look at Dead Man's Wire next to Breaking, what does it tell us about who gets to be the vigilante folk hero and who has to be the tragic martyr? Can we enjoy a true crime thriller about a white man fighting the system, or does it just hit too different when we know how the story ends for someone like us? All right, Tre'vell, let's get into it. Are you here for the thrill or just the representation of it all?
Well, you know I do love a little representation. I do love a little representation. Okay, so what I like that you pulled Breaking with John Boyega from 2022 into this conversation, and I do think it makes a great comp because both of these movies, Breaking and Dead Man's Wire, are based on true stories, right? Real people who did these things. Okay.
And headlines.
and headlines. Like these are legitimate things. There are articles, there are documentaries, right, that have explored both of these situations. I also, for my Tyler Perry aficionados, will just slide Straw from last year with Taraji P. Henson into this conversation as well, because it is also a bank hostage moment. Not based on a true story though. But to your point, it's a genre in and of itself. You know, I really enjoyed Dead Man's Wire. That's why we're talking about it, because I said this is one of the ones we need to talk about, and I thought that, you know, every other episode, I feel like you like to pull on the how media is represented. So I was like, media's right up in front in this. I was like, Ray's gonna love this.
We gotta keep journalism alive somehow. Like, we have to. In conversation, in supporting, go buy a newspaper, open up a broadsheet. Okay. Like, read the news, people.
Okay, come on, broadsheet. Okay, now we showing our age. Somebody's listening talking about broadsheet. Why is the sheet
Look
broad?
It up. Go Google it.
Right. But I really enjoyed this movie. I feel like this movie has an energy to it. It has a propulsion to it, because the film, and I don't know if we're into spoiler territory, because again, it is based on a true story. You probably lived through this. The real story happened.
Not on us, girl. It was in the 70s.
No, but we might have some listeners.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. I'm saying some listeners.
You like to call me old, so I'm making sure you ain't trying to age me up that much, child. Just a few years.
Just a few. Which, side note, never mind. We about to have a whole.
She's back. The girl is back.
I know. That's not what Seated is about. Right. That's not what Seated is about. But there is a. I feel like this genre of movie requires propulsion. It requires energy. It requires action. In so many ways, it's an action movie.
Yeah.
As it also is a thriller or a bank heist. I'm gonna say bank heist movie because it's, you know, it's basically that. Yeah. But I enjoy. This is not a movie that I thought I would like. This is not a movie that I thought I would champion. But it is one of my favorite movies that I saw last year.
Okay. Last year? When did you see this movie, Tre'vell? It just came out today.
It came out to you all. Okay. But I am who I am, praise the Lord. And so I had a chance to see a screening of it late last year. Okay. And so, but it has bowled me over, right? Yeah. And it is one of those things where I'm just like, y'all are doing it. Bill Skarsgård, who's the lead actor in this, I don't quite know if I know him from anything else. I'm sure I do.
He plays like monsters. Yeah.
I'm
sure he has a lot of makeup typically.
I'm sure I do, but this is a movie that rests on him. Period. Colman's in it, and what's the other beloved's name? I don't know how to say her name. Myha'la. She's in it. They're fine. But this is Bill Skarsgård's movie, just by the nature of the topic, and he delivers to me. What were your initial, thoughts and feelings of it?
So I went in, I think because I was not familiar at all with this story, I went in looking for more of like a bank heist, and I was pleasantly surprised when I learned that it wasn't like a traditional bank heist. It was more of a, so in the movie, essentially, he goes in and he kidnaps a mortgage broker, his mortgage broker. He intended to kidnap the president or CEO of the company, but turns out he was on break. I should note that that character is played by Al Pacino.
Yes.
And the person he ends up kidnapping is actually that character's son. And it turns out to be more of a kidnapping film than it is a heist film, because they actually leave the office or the bank and go into his apartment where majority of the film happens. So I was really intrigued by kind of like the flip of that kind of tone and narrative from that perspective. And also when I saw that I didn't even know it was set in the 70s if I'm being honest. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, this feels like a little blaxploitationist. Like the Myha'la character, she has, like I mentioned, a fro. She's wearing furs at some point.
Big old fro.
Very Superfly, very like she's speaking in that 70s vernacular where she's saying things like hip, and the only acknowledgement of race in this film for real is when she makes a call and she's like, a white man kidnapped another white man or something, or held another white man at gunpoint. And so I love that. And then the character that Colman Domingo plays is this radio host who's smooth talking. I don't know if y'all listened to the radio growing up like I did, but there was this thing called The Quiet Storm that played on our station. And he kind of like was that type of smooth voice talking over things from his show. And so it was cool. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It also appreciated that it qualifies for like that tight 90. I think the movie's like an hour and 45 minutes, so it's not a long watch. And it has good energy.
And it doesn't even feel that long.
Yeah, it doesn't even feel that long. Right. So as we get into this conversation, I like to ask you every week, who is this movie for? Who is Dead Man's Wire made for, if you had to say?
I think thriller. If you love a thriller, I think you'll enjoy this movie, as I did. If you like movies about journalism, I don't know if I've said it on this show before, but we don't get enough on-screen narratives about journalism. And even more so, where the journalists look like me and you. And so if you happen to be that person like me who is very interested in those things, this movie really checks the box. And I'll talk later about how, in terms of the journalism and the cinematography in particular. And then I would also say, I do think this, if you love based on a true story, if you love, and I do, I don't, baby, give me something that was pulled out of the headline, that you've taken, some, limited artistic license to render on screen. I love that stuff because to me, it's another way of learning some of these historic, pieces of history that have happened that, like you said, I was not yet thought of, in the 70s when this was happening, but I'm glad to now know this, this history and how pivotal it really was for this community.
Yeah. That's fair. I would definitely also say that this is for people who like that eat the rich narrative in movies. Like if you're rooting for the robbers in Hell or High Water, or felt the frustration in movies like The Big Short, you would really be into this.
It's very Luigi Mangione energy.
Yes. I want to bring that up later on too. Also, if you're a true crime fan, this is right up your alley. This is something that was ripped from the headlines. It's based on a true story. There are some creative liberties taken in changing some of the characters out, but it's very much so one of those things that once you watch it, you can go back and watch the documentary. You can read the headlines of what it's based on. At the end of the movie, they play what happened to the characters after what we see play out in the time frame of the film. So if you're into true crimes, you'll love that. If you're into 70s movie aesthetics, like I mentioned, it has like that blaxploitation vibe a little bit. It has a little bit of humor, like that 70s humor in it. And I mentioned, the media and journalism folks are going to love this because it's very much so a movie that hinges on the narrative that the media helped to create. So I think those are folks who will really be into this movie. And even if you're hesitant about it, like, just give it a chance. It's an easy watch. I definitely think that if you are at all interested in seeing a Colman Domingo movie or Myha'la in the film, it will deliver for you. So yeah, those are the folks that I would say it's for.
Speaking of Colman, speaking of Colman, let's dive a little deep. Yeah. Well, I do want to first say, I was doing some research about the film. One of the things that I thought was interesting, before I talk deeper about Colman in this role, I do want to talk about the director, Gus Van Sant.
Let's give the director some. How can I forget? Yes. I always do that.
But Gus Van Sant, new queer cinema auteur is words that have been used to describe him. But one of the things I read is that when he got the script had links to the 911 calls that some of which we hear at the end of the movie, like you mentioned. And so as he was reading the script, he was able to listen to the 911 call and put himself literally, right? To hear the actual, not to mention the documentary that also explored this as well. And I just found that really interesting. Like that is the thing that pulled him in and was like, actually, yeah, I want to do that. And that is how he was able to see, like Bill Skarsgård in the movie has this, like, he speaks very fast and very there's a lot of angst in his voice. And apparently that's the real guy, if you listen to the 911 tapes, according to Gus Van Sant, was doing that same thing. And so that's really what led him to be like, yeah, I'll do this. But Gus Van Sant, right? I think one of his movies that he's directed that I enjoy, I would say, is Milk.
Yep.
The biopic about Harvey Milk. He was Oscar nominated for that. The film was nominated for Best Picture, I believe. What other Gus Van Sant things are you familiar with?
So the only other movie that I associate with Gus Van Sant is Good Will Hunting. It was a 97 film that I really enjoyed. I'm not as familiar with the rest of his catalog. I know that he's known to have done his version of Psycho some time ago, so that's something. But I went and looked up his IMDb, and his 4 known for films are Elephant, Drugstore Cowboy, Paranoid Park, and My Own Private Idaho. All
crazy
films
work.
that I have not seen. So
crazy work.
Yeah.
I was going to say, crazy work. Films that I have not seen. I will note he also has done some television. And so if anyone saw, there was an ABC series, limited series called When We Rise from a number of years ago that tracked the AIDS epidemic and the rise of the gay liberation movement. Whoopi Goldberg is in the series. But it's a really, really good series. And he is one of those folks that we look at industry-wise as like a noted queer filmmaker, right? He's one of those people, gay filmmaker, if we want to be specific, because this is a gay man. But and so I want to just give him a little something, because he's
this
done.
man has been working since before we were around. Like his first
Quite
IMDb
literally.
credit dates back to 1979. So
Quite literally, he's in his 70s probably at this point, but has made great work, award-winning work. The Elephant movie you talked about, I believe, is based on Columbine. Based on the Columbine shooting, if I'm not mistaken. So also has extensive experience translating IRL happenings on screen.
Yeah, nice. I love that. You were starting to get into the conversation about Colman Domingo, which is what brought us here. So before I ask my question, where were you going with that thought?
I just want to say I don't like the character. That's all.
So
That's all.
It's interesting. It's interesting that that's your reaction because his character in the film is named Fred Temple, and it's based on the real life DJ that the Bill Skarsgård character plays. He actually loved listening to him, but it's based on a white radio DJ named Fred Heckman.
I knew it.
So I think the director's choice to change that from a white man to a black man was interesting. It says something about the era, I think, but it doesn't really say much because we don't really get much of Colman Domingo in this, but when we do get him, Colman does what he does.
Absolutely.
So yeah. Do you feel like the role honors Colman's talent or... I kind of had a thought of like Magical Negro once the story kind of wrapped up in this and trying to figure out the choice to make the black man who essentially helps this white man stay calm during, you know, this very violent moment. I was like, is this a Magical Negro moment? How'd you feel about that?
I didn't get Magical Negro. I didn't get Magical Negro, but I did... You know how earlier when we were talking through Shabudaque's question, and I mentioned, you know, I'm always just trying to find the authenticity, and the ways that I find it most often is it's felt. You know what they say? It's not on you; it's in you.
It's in you.
Okay, and there were a number of moments with Colman's character in particular where I said to myself, I don't think the real guy was black. And because a white man confiding in a black man in the 70s on the radio.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I just wanted a little bit more of Colman being like, this white motherfucker crazy or something.
Yeah. Because there was no real commentary on that I wanted. Yeah.
And that's what I feel like was missing for the role by having a black person in it. You know, because a black person, in the same way that say her name again. Myha'la. There are a couple instances where, and I don't know if the real journalist or that you know this character is pulled off of was a black woman or not, but there's like one moment that I remember her commenting about, you know, this white man is doing do-do-do-do-do, and the way she says it, I was like, that feels real. You know, it as opposed to just being descriptive, right? It felt like it was commentary while also being descriptive, which is what we do as black journalists, right? You know, that double speak. And so didn't get Magical Negro from Colman, but I did was like, and like I said, in some of the research I found, he wasn't the first actor offered this role. Several other actors passed before it was brought to him by one of the producers on the film.
Interesting.
You know.
Yeah, the optics of his role to me, it just felt very much so like a black man having to be the voice of reason for a spiraling white man.
I see what you mean.
To calm him in a way that, quite frankly, called back to how Magical Negroes had to always be the calming agent, I'll say, in pictures of that time. So yeah, that's where I got that from. But you mentioned that Colman wasn't initially cast for that, which reminds me that Bill Skarsgård wasn't originally cast for that role either. We almost had a version of this movie with Nicolas Cage, which I'm actually glad we didn't get that version because I think it would have probably
Passion of the Christ? Is that the right person? Am I thinking Nicholas, who? Oh, Face Off. Is that Face Off?
Tre'vell. Passion of the Christ is crazy.
That wasn't him?
No.
Oh, that was the other white man. Okay, sorry. Oh, yeah, National Treasure. Yes. Yes.
I was just gonna let you find your way through this because when you threw Passion of the Christ like that, I said, all right, where this finna go?
No, who is the Passion? I'm gonna look this up later. Keep going.
But yeah, we almost got a Nicolas Cage version of this, which I think Bill Skarsgård was the right choice for this for sure.
Yeah, he was. And I thought he did great. You know what I mean? Yeah. Mel Gibson is Passion of the Christ. My bad.
You really looked it up.
But now come on. You know Nicolas Cage and Mel Gibson feel very much so of an era.
I don't feel like tussling with that right now.
Okay, fine. We can move on.
I won't get into it.
We can move on, friend.
So you brought up Myha'la's role, and she plays journalist Linda Page. Mm-hmm. And one thing that you said, her speaking to like the blackness of it all felt authentic. What felt authentic to me was the way she approached the situation of essentially taking this story and owning it and saying that like I'm going to do this, and also finessing the moment
Black
to
journalism.
send the people who were assigned to the thing the wrong direction so that she could get there first and get the story and make herself the only person who has access to this thing. And I was like, this is very much so accurate to how Black people have to navigate that space when they're not allowed to show up and do the job that they've been hired to do.
Absolutely.
Knowing that they can do it best, and they actually are owed this because she found the story. How dare you assign this out to somebody else?
And
I was
here.
working the beat. You gave me this beat. This is in my beat. This is in my territory. I'm here, and you want to reassign this? Sis said, no.
Exactly.
This is my story. I'm reporting on this, and we're going to do it. And we also got to see her like fumble a bit and like work her way through a lot of those tense moments, which I was like, I appreciate this representation for like how journalism is. I will say the news director was, of course, a white man. I was like, oh, there was something more that could have been done here, but because the story wasn't focused on her, I was like, okay, we couldn't really get into that, but I did appreciate kind of like the approach they took there.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact, one of the things that I really enjoyed, and much of it is related to her character and the journalism she is doing. The cinematography of the film, a lot of it's handheld, which to me mirrors the, cameraman jumping out of the broadcast van, running up to the scene, and I felt like it was very effective for putting me in those situations. Specifically when we were looking through the camera lens of the videographer, right? The videographer journalist, and also when we were just looking through the camera of the film itself. It was all handheld in nature, and to me, I was like, it carried through the journalism element and also the just kind of the energy. It helped with the propulsion of like keeping us in it, feeling the angst of the moment. That was one of the things that I just really enjoyed the most throughout all of it is that carry through note.
And I love how they edited in different, like, I don't know if this was archival footage or just footage made to look like it was of the 70s era, but like when they moved from one scene to the next, there was like a few times where they would show like a freeze frame or a picture of the thing that felt very much so like a Law and Order type of moment or SVU, where it was like a still and then they go into like the action of the scene. I thought that was really interesting as well. So yeah, I love that as well.
And I did. There is, you were speaking about the story around her character. They obviously could have gone a little deeper about like her motivations for diverting, the other team, the A team, to the wrong place. But it was enough for me. It gave me a nice little tease of the journalism element without it being about journalism, to where like I was like, okay, I'll give you a pass.
Yeah,
I'll let you go. I'll give you a pass on that. And I know she is on Industry right now.
Love that show.
Have never seen it. Did not. I've seen her name different places. But so this role in Dead Man's Wife was my first time seeing her. And I was like, oh, I want to see more. I don't know if I'm going to watch Industry though. So
that was going to be my initial recommendation in our Good Vibes before I switched it, mid-conversation. But I think, Tre'vell, I do think you would appreciate Industry because it has like that frenetic energy that like has a lot of chaos, a lot of like constant negotiating across like phones. And this is how I was introduced to Myha'la. Industry is a show on HBO that came out in the thick of like the pandemic in 2020. And they just started their 4th season. I will say I was in a bit of a conflict when we had to watch the Golden Globes because at the same time they premiered season 4 of Industry on HBO. And I was like, why would they do this at the same time as the Golden Globes?
Because it's HBO Max. You can watch it afterward. If you don't stop playing with me.
I think it's worth going to watch Industry because also in addition to Myha'la, we're introduced to David Johnson. And he's been doing a lot of things. Like he was the black man in The Long Walk. He played in what was it, the Aliens movie, the remake recently that happened last year, a couple years ago. And so like I think at least the first season, get into the first season, Tre'vell. We're 4 seasons in now, but get into the first season, I think you'll appreciate that. But
okay, I did, yeah.
Back to Myha'la.
Yes, Myha'la.
Her character wasn't actually based on a real person in that specific story, but it was inspired by real black female journalists of the 70s. So she was kind of just like a person put in there. And actually, in the criticism I've been reading has been kind of critical about that character. People have been saying that she felt tacked on to the story, but I appreciated her presence there and like what she brought to it. So
I didn't feel like she was tacked on, but I did want a little more. I did want a little more for how
it made me so much more curious for that perspective.
Yeah, for how present she was, and also the fact that it's there's so many interesting threads that could have been pulled on to give us, deeper about her, but the movie's not about her. So there's that.
So speaking about what the movie's about, I do want to dive deeper into like what happens in the film. So I think this is a great place for us to like put in a spoiler alert because I think we should get into spoiler conversation here because it's a true story. Like a lot of what happens in the movie is hard to talk around in an in-depth way, especially as I'm about to like start talking about its comparison to Breaking. So if you have not seen the movie at this point, pause here, watch the movie, and come back and check it out.
Or just skip ahead, 5 to 10 minutes to the Black Cinema Games, okay?
Speaking of skipping ahead, every week in the description box, I always give y'all timestamps. So if you don't want anything spoiled, you can always click ahead to the portion of the show you want to listen to. So check the description box. But with that, let's get into this because as I mentioned, I kept thinking about, I couldn't recall what movie this narrative reminded me of while I was watching the film, and it wasn't until after the film I was like, that doggone 2022 movie Breaking with John Boyega and Nicole Beharie, and also that was Michael K. Williams' last theatrical film too, so that was also why it was like required viewing for me at the time. But essentially, in Breaking, we have John Boyega's character who plays an Army vet who was essentially owed money for his like VA health benefits or something. And it's like $800 or something that he wants retrieved back. And so he goes into a bank and he has a backpack. And in his backpack, he has a detonator, which is, I believe he calls like his dead man bomb or something like that, which I was like, oh, this is reminiscent to Dead Man's Wire, which is why it was calling back to me so urgently. I was like, there's another Dead Man's movie that I can't think of. And it was that. So essentially he goes into the bank and he's asking them to figure this out for him. And he's like, I have a bomb. I'm ready to blow it up if you don't give me my money. Like all this man wants is this $800 that he's owed for, from the VA. And I love the performance of Nicole Beharie in this movie. She did a beautiful job of just like playing the intermediary, trying to like calm him. She's a bank teller and kind of like working with the negotiator, and the negotiators who's played by Michael K. Williams. And ultimately in that movie, it's a different result. So John Boyega's character ends up getting killed by a police sniper, which is devastating to Michael K. Williams' character. And, because he spent this entire movie talking this man down and like really trying to reason with him. And the police snipers did not have his approval for this. And so it was just, that moment was really what it was. And then like, it turns out he didn't actually have a bomb in his bag. And it was just like, damn. This is what happens when a black man is in the same position as the Tony character that we saw in Dead Man's Wire, which is what was really frustrating me. And so, Tre'vell, with that, while you were watching this movie, were you at all questioning that? Like, if this were a black man, we wouldn't have gotten, 63 hours into this kidnapping in the way that we did in this film, Dead Man's Wire?
No, it did not. That question did not cross my mind because, you know, I know the world we live in. It did not cross my mind. Yeah, interestingly, it did not cross my mind at all. Because I just be like, you know, white men go white men.
Right.
You know?
Both of these characters, so Tony's character and the Brian character in Breaking, they're not trying to rob either of their kidnappers per se. They're in there trying to get what's owed to them. And I thought it was really interesting their approaches. Like, they both wanted to make sure that the media was present so that this was documented and people knew that they were out to get what was owed to them. And it was like, people need to see this so that we can bring real change. But I felt like the Tony character, Bill Skarsgård character, was being positioned as like what they're calling the folk hero, whereas Black people aren't allowed to have that folk hero image because of the America we live in. So,
well, yeah. I do think, so it's multifaceted for me. I do think with Dead Man's Wire, it's the 70s. And I think that time period is important. In Breaking, I don't know. It wasn't a period piece in Breaking. Breaking felt a little bit closer to today, 2020, whatever year this is. And the reason why I say I think that matters is because, and I actually think that the use of the media in both films by both characters is actually slightly different. John Boyega brought the media because he knew these people will kill me. Mm-hmm. You know, he says, bring the media so these people don't kill me. Yeah. And I guess Bill Skarsgård does it too, but I don't know that Bill Skarsgård ever, John Boyega didn't have a bomb.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't have the thing. Bill Skarsgård had the fucking gun. Visible, but also wrapped around. He had wire wrapped, hence the name of the movie. I'm glad you said, glad you said the spoiler alert, but he has a wire wrapped around the guy's neck, tied to the trigger. So that if the guy yanks away at any point, goodbye.
Yeah.
And I know you haven't seen Straw, but I'm sliding it in here. Fair. But it is very similar. Straw is very similar but different to Breaking in that same, where they stay in the bank, right?
Yeah.
Bill Skarsgård goes to his home, to his turf where he has control and he knows where the cameras are, or there are no cameras. You know what I mean? But he knows there's one window and boop, boop, boop. So I think that's an interesting comparison that you made between the two films. But I do think the time period shifts my expectation, at least, of how it was covered by the quote unquote media in the film and the utility of the media. And then also just kind of the broader takeaway, in terms of this racial element. Well, let me ask you, of the two, what's a better movie to you, Breaking or Dead Man's Wire?
That's a good question. I actually, damn. Recency bias is very much so here because I just saw Dead Man's Wire. But I really remember being so satisfied with Breaking. I think, for my personal taste, I think probably Breaking
okay.
would be my preference of the two.
Okay.
I also want to bring in a third movie here that is more of a it's also a heist movie that I did not enjoy as a comp, which is the Kelly Reichardt movie that I saw last year. The Mastermind, one of the Josh O'Connor movies that I mentioned. Now that was not a good movie to me.
Right.
So I think using those three comps will be helpful in helping folks scale kind of where Dead Man's Wire falls. Although Dead Man's Wire is neck and neck with Breaking. Like I think what edges it up for me is just like Nicole Bahari's performance, and it really just did something to me that I don't think Myha'la or Colman Domingo's roles allow them to do on the page.
I was just about to say, their roles don't even allow them to have any of that. But you're right. Nicole Beharie eats it down. And isn't
yeah,
that
she chews.
also in that film is Selena, the girl who used to be one of the Latinas from Orange is the New Black, is in that movie as well.
Selena Leyva?
Yes.
Yeah.
She was one of the Latinas from Orange is the New Black. She also is standout in this film for me, in Breaking for me as well.
Yeah. And Breaking was, so you say that it wasn't a period piece in the way that Dead Man's Wire was. It's because it's based on a true story that actually happened in 2018 in like Georgia, like somewhere around East Point or something like that. Or Marietta. I think it was at a bank in Marietta. So it was a period, but it was a current period, so it didn't have that, aspect to it.
I'm also reading here, and we're going to get back to Dead Man's Wire momentarily, but I'm also reading here that Jonathan Majors was originally supposed to play the role that John Boyega ended up playing in that film. But he was replaced due to scheduling conflict with Ant-Man and the Wasp, which we know how that ended. Anyway, so, okay. Any other thoughts that you have before we take a break? Or actually, excuse me, before we get into our See It, Skip It, or Stream It and the critical response to this film?
I wanted to talk about kind of what ultimately in the end of the movie or in the end of the actual story happened to the character. Like, we find out that not only does this man get off from his jury trial, like this character essentially is found not guilty of the crimes. And beyond that, he refuses the psychiatric treatment that he's supposed to undergo because he thinks that that's an admission of the crime or whatever. And so he ends up spending 8 years in the psychiatric hold or treatment or whatever instead of just, doing you to be out. As opposed to essentially the John Boyega character being killed. Like, the man is dead. They never paid him the money. Like, they never paid his family the $892 that he was trying to get with his heist. And it just was a much more tragic ending. And like that, it's like, yeah, this is the tension that I was feeling while watching this play out.
Yeah, I feel that.
And some of the criticism I've been reading also, apparently this movie has like a lot of parallels to a Dog Day Afternoon film that starred Al Pacino, which was like an interesting tie-in with him playing a character in this. So are you familiar with Dog Day Afternoon?
I am.
I haven't watched it. Okay.
I am.
Okay.
I can see that. I can absolutely see that. I can see that. Because you're speaking about Al Pacino, he filmed his part for Dead Man's Wire in one day.
I mean, it shows like he had much to do. Like, he was through the phone the entire time. He was obviously not in the same location.
And Colman Domingo shot his in 2 days.
That makes sense. That just goes to show,
absolutely
how much they had on the page.
And the entire film was shot over 19 days.
Yeah. So the timing of this film's release is something that I kind of wanted to touch on because that's probably why it didn't, for me, level up to like where Breaking was, because it felt like this movie was a bit out of relevancy. So I feel like if this movie would have come out during the time where people were going through like the housing crisis with like the mortgage thing being what Bill Skarsgård's character is fighting for, maybe it would have felt a bit more current. And also I wanted to bring in like the Luigi Mangione. Like, I was forced to think of that because I was like, okay, how can this tie into like a current event or current day thing or narrative? So I thought about how Luigi Mangione is on trial right now for, his alleged killing of the
we saying alleged
CEO. I mean, we ain't got a verdict yet, so like
fair.
You told me on the last episode, allegedly.
Fair.
Yeah. So how do you feel about that? Like the urgency of this being current?
I actually feel like it's very current. I know it's like rooted in the 70s, but the reality is, and not just bringing in the Luigi Mangione of it all, but the reality is this kind of principled position that Bill Skarsgård's character takes, right, in this film. Many people want to take those kinds of stances today. Many people are still dealing with the kind of bull that he was navigating that caused him to go into that bank in the first place, right? Yeah. Many people are still navigating the ways that the rich keep getting richer and the rest of us are holding on by the hair on our chins, right?
Yeah.
And so, but I don't think anybody's going to watch this movie. I don't think as many people as I would like to see this movie will see this movie because it's January.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that I wish was better portrayed in the film, I was trying to understand how, like, the everyday person at this time was reacting to this. Like, he's positioned as the folk hero, but every time we saw, like, a person watching the news story, seeing what was happening, there was never really a clear public perception that I felt, because when we cut to like those scenes of people listening to the radio or watching the TV news story, their expressions felt a bit more muted. Like there wasn't much reaction. And the only reaction we got from like what outsiders thought was when he got that phone call of people essentially egging him on just to kill the man because all they wanted to see was a man get killed on the news or whatever. But that was something that I wish was more clear to me, was like, how did people at this time actually feel about this being like a national news story that took over Indianapolis media at the time?
I can see that. I didn't miss it, but I could see how that would have added something, to the narrative for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I've tossed out all my thoughts and feelings. I'm ready to get into what the people are thinking. So what's Rotten Tomatoes giving over on the tomato meter?
You want to do our seated skip it or scream it first?
Oh yeah, we can do that. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So seated, skip it or stream it. I'll start, and I will say I want this to be a seated for folks because I think the kind of energy, similar to what we were talking about with Marty Supreme, actually, the kind of energy and propulsion of the film, I think is best felt and translated on a big screen with the great surround sound and those kinds of elements. So I would say seated for this film. What about you?
Yeah. I'm also going to say seated. This was an enjoyable watch. In the time frame we're in January, I think this will be a great pick for people. You won't regret seeing this. It's not going to take up much of your time, and it's definitely worth seeing for me.
Absolutely. Okay, now the critical take over on the Rotten Tomatoes. The tomato meter is at 91%. That's with 102 people rating it fresh and only 10 people rating it rotten, 10 critics rating it rotten. 91% is very good, okay? We call that an A, okay, where I come from. We don't yet have a popcorn meter. They only have about 50 verified ratings from the audience. And
which
so I'm
goes
interested
to show who's seeing this, yeah.
Well, nobody. But the shout out to the Letterboxd, which is like another way of, feeling what the audience is saying. And so over on Letterboxd, they have about 9,000 ratings, netting out at 3.5 out of 5 stars. And I think that's where I would put it. I might put it at 4. I might put it at 4 personally. But and then we have our Black Critic Spotlight.
Who we got this week?
This week we have André Hereford, who rated the film 3 out of 5 tomatoes. They write for Metro Weekly in Washington, D.C. And André said, Dead Man's Wire largely locks in on what's working in its frantic, fearful vision of a man sunk by someone else's greed, pulling the trigger on his last resort.
Yeah.
And yes, frantic, fearful, you feel it.
Yeah, I think André Hereford may be one of us. I see on their profile.
Not one of us.
I mean, they have a rainbow flag in their profile. So.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, shout out to André. Okay.
Yes, they're part of the Dorian Award, so they're fam.
I am also part of what they call it, Gallica, the LGBTQ Film Critics Association, who puts on the Dorian Awards.
So shout out to our other community.
Okay. Listen, so many communities. Okay, we're going to go take a quick break, and when we come back, we have a very special version of Black Cinema Games.
Uh-oh, here we go.
I hope you're ready, Ray. You already know. Okay.
Back again, and now it's time for my favorite segment this week and every week, Black Cinema Games.
Pew, 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 pew. But this
All right,
week,
so...
Yeah. I do see you already anticipating. I feel it. You're nervous. And this is what I like, okay? Because this week, I'm going to be doing the game. I've come up with it, and we're going to be testing your knowledge. How does it feel to be in the hot seat?
I mean, it feels different because I don't consider myself a movie expert. Like I mentioned, I really didn't come online with like my film obsession or like my really deep critical analysis on films until 2016 with Moonlight. So like, I feel like my movie knowledge is a bit more shallow than yours is. You have a deeper well to pull from than I do. So I'm nervous about that, but I'm trusting that this is going to be a fun time because, you know, I'm always down for a good time.
Yes, okay. Well, so as always, I'm going to play a clip from a trailer.
Oh, so we're playing the soundbite game.
We are playing the soundbite game. I'm going to play a clip from a trailer. You need to tell me the movie. Simple enough.
How many we got?
And there are 4. And I'm going to be nice and tell you that all of these movies star Colman Domingo.
Okay. Whew, okay. So, I mean, I do have...
You got a few.
Seen all of his movies.
You've got... Well, maybe not all, because, you know, that man been working for a long time, too. But,
here we go.
But, you know, let's see. Okay, so you ready for the first one?
Yes, I will say, you know, people give us some patience this week. Tre'vell's doing this for the first time, so it may take them a moment to...
technologically not savvy. So...
Give us grace.
We're making it work. Praise the Lord. Okay, the first one, 10 seconds on the clock. I'm going to play 10 seconds from the trailer, and you need to tell me the movie.
Okay.
Let's do it. Number 1.
The time has come for another.
Nobody.
I can handle all the grunt work. Rally the young. We are going to put together the largest peaceful protest made up of angelic troublemakers such as yourself.
Yes.
Okay, what is it?
This must be Rustin.
It is Rustin.
Yes,
It is Rustin.
Okay.
See, easy, right?
I feel good.
See, I ain't do you dirty. Not yet, at least.
Yeah, I enjoy Rustin. It was when I think of biopics of recent years, I thought he did a really great job of portraying that character. On the flip side, a movie that was also from Netflix that I didn't enjoy as much, that was a biopic of the similar era, was Shirley. Remember that?
Oh, with
our beloved Regina King.
Regina King. Yes.
Yeah. So I liked him more as Rustin than I did her as Shirley, but
fair.
I'm happy to have a point on the board. Good
you
start.
You got a point. Are you ready for number 2?
I am. Let's get into it.
Okay.
Strumming my pain with his fingers.
You ready for this?
Singing my life with his words.
I've never been more ready for anything in my whole life.
Oh my God. Okay, so this is what's going to really trip me up is that I'm someone notorious for skipping trailers. So the fact that you're using trailers is really messing me up.
Dang. Okay. It's a setup then.
I don't know what this could be. I heard a female voice. He said something, "Are you ready?" I don't know. I don't know. What is that?
This is from 2018?
You ain't giving me no
Beale
clues?
Street could talk. No, ain't no clues. You don't get clues.
Yes. Yeah. I did love If Beale Street Could Talk, but I also could not recall that trailer. Like, that's one of my favorite soundtracks to read to. I think it was a Nicholas Britell.
The score?
It's a Nicholas Britell score, yeah. Dang, I'm already down a point.
That's okay, though. Right. That's okay. That's okay. Don't get discouraged.
If Bill Street Could Talk, was that Barry Jenkins' next film after Moonlight?
I think.
Or did he have something between there?
I think it was.
Yeah.
I think it was. I think it was. Okay.
Also with Regina King.
And Colman Domingo. Not also, but y'all know what I mean. Anyway. Okay, so you got one correct and one incorrect. We have 2 more to go. Our next film, also from 2018. That is your clue.
No.
My name is Lily Colson, and I'm 18 years old. These are my 3 best friends, Em, Bex, and Sarah.
M, Bex, and Sarah. I've seen this movie. I recently saw this movie.
Oh.
M, Bex, and Sarah. Those names sound familiar. M, Bex, and Sarah. 3 best friends. Colman Domingo.
Ooh.
Is this Spring Breakers?
It is not Spring Breakers. Is Colman Domingo in Spring Breakers?
He's not. I'm thinking about another movie. I already got it wrong, but I know what movie this is. M. Bex.
This movie.
Zola.
It is not Zola. It is not Zola. This I would just take you out your misery, friend, because maybe you have not seen this. The movie is called Assassination Nation.
I have not seen this. I have no idea what this is.
It came out, like I said, in 2018. It was. I thought you would know it because this was a Sundance premiere back then. I think it was one of like midnight premieres of Sundance. So as you know, the midnight premieres is very horror and gory.
Yeah,
those are what those usually are. And so I believe that's on HBO Max if you are interested. But that is Assassination Nation.
Dang, man,
That's
I'm
okay.
not doing well. Just 1 out of 4 so far. All right.
That's okay.
I'm praying
That's okay. But you're going to get this last one. I believe in you. I believe in you. You're going to get this last one. Let's go.
Hey, last month I went dancing at this cute spot in Florida where my roommate's girl made like 5 G's a night.
I know what this one is. This is Zola.
This is Zola.
Yes. Okay. Ooh, hallelujah. All right.
Shout out to Janiska Bravo and Taylor Page and the rest of them. Okay, so you did good for your first time as a contestant in Black Cinema Games. You got 2 out of 2.
2 out of 2. That's a failing grade.
That is, don't be disappointed. Don't be disappointed. Now I'm a hard game show host. I don't have extra clues and I don't have no top 4 or whatever to give you extra points. Cause okay, actually I will do the top 4 because that's easy. Let's do the top 4. What are Colman Domingo's?
I hope it's easy.
Let's do Colman Domingo's top 4 known for on IMDb. You have 10 seconds. Go.
10 seconds? I don't usually time you for this, but is Zola on there?
It is not.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Selma?
Yes.
Okay, got one.
Yes.
Is Euphoria on there?
No. But
Are they all movies?
I was going to say, but another television show is.
The zombie.
Yes.
The Walking Dead. Fear the Walking Dead.
I'm gonna give you the credit. Yes, the Zombies, also known as Fear of the Walking Dead.
Okay.
And then you have 2. You have 2 more guesses. One is both of the others are films, but one is a documentary, I believe.
Oh, I know I'm not gonna get the documentary. Is the other film starring him?
As in he's the lead? No.
I want to say one. I have 2 more guesses. So one of my guesses I'm going to give is The Color Purple.
It is not The Color Purple.
Oh, hell.
Cute movie.
Hell.
This movie, for your last guess, because you're not going to get, and I should note, the one that I said is a documentary, it's actually a adaptation of a stage musical directed by Spike Lee. You're not going to get that, and that's okay. But the one that you might get, let's say it is presidential in nature.
Well, no, what I want to say is not involve presidential anything. He was in that movie that got that method actor his
that
oh
one.
My God.
Yes.
Lincoln.
That one. Lincoln. Yes.
Okay.
Lincoln. So you got it. So that you got 3 of the 4. Okay.
So 1.5 points.
1.5 points. So now you have 3.5. Look at that.
Ooh, I feel much better. Thank God for grace. Won't he bring you through it?
Thank God for grace. Okay. Let's get into our good vibes only for this episode so we can let the people go. What is your recommendation this week?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I was thrown off kilter from my earlier recommendation because I really wanted to recommend initially Myha'la in the show industry.
Mm-hmm.
But as we were talking and getting into conversation about the consultant and all of that like type of role, it made me call back to like a very recent conversation that was happening around the movie we can't not talk about every episode, which is Sinners.
Oh.
And so Sinners very much so employed consultants for so many different things in their movie. I know they had one for the twin role that Michael B. Jordan played, but they also had a consultant that they brought on as like the Asian consultant, Dolly Lee. And there was a really good conversation that happened on In Proximity. So they have a podcast called In Proximity. Proximity Media is Ryan Coogler's production company.
I remember being asked about these lines about licking. You know, there's so many classic examples of terrible stereotypes. We have come so far.
Their podcast In Proximity, they had a conversation with Dolly Lee about like her experience as a consultant on the film. And I think that would be a really great thing for folks to go and check out if they want to learn more about like how her role kind of like helps support the vision and story that Ryan Coogler was trying to tell with Sinners. So my recommendation is In Proximity episode with Dolly Lee. Yeah.
Lovely. For my recommendation this week, I'm staying on the movies about journalism tip. And I think you all should check out, if you have not already, the 2015 biographical drama Spotlight.
They control everything. This is not just Boston. It's the whole country. It's the whole world.
They knew, and they let it happen. It could have been you. It could have been me. It could have been any of us.
I actually have not watched that.
You've never seen Spotlight? It is so good. It is so good. Now, ain't no colored people in this movie at all. Just want to, ain't not nary, but it is about the Boston Globe's Spotlight team uncovering decades of sexual abuse and cover up by the Roman Catholic Church in Boston. And so in real life, this team won a Pulitzer for their work that is chronicled in the film. It stars Mark Ruffalo, Michael Keaton, Rachel McAdams, Stanley Tucci is in this, Liev Schreiber, and everybody's
It's a good
acting.
cast.
Everybody's doing the good acting, y'all. It won Best Picture at the Academy Awards that year, as well as I think screenplay, I believe. And so it's a really good movie about journalism through and through. And one of my favorites. And so that's my recommendation, 2015's Spotlight.
Nice. I definitely thought you were going in a different direction with that, but I love it. When I was in J school, we were forced to, well, I shouldn't say forced, but it was required viewing that we watch All the President's Men, which is the Robert Redford film about the Watergate scandal.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Did you also have to watch that?
Yeah. Ugh. But
it seems like these kids today have better options for J school movies.
Yes. But also maybe not, because again, there aren't a lot of movies about journalism.
True.
And these two, Spotlight and All the President's Men, are like the two that often come up at the top of most lists. So those are our recommendations for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in for yet another episode of Seated. As always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And also share with your friends who also like great conversations about movies.
Yes, and feel free to join and tap into our Seated Movie Club. We have, as I mentioned, a growing community coming there, so be a part of it at the ground level, and we can't wait to see y'all back next week. So
absolutely, and we're gonna start doing for the Seated Movie Club. We should tell y'all, we don't dive into all of our thoughts doing this episode. We try to keep it to an hour. Sometimes we go a little longer, okay? But the Seated Movie Club, once we get that going, that's where you're going to get the unvarnished, okay? Yes. The spoiler-filled, feedback. So after you watch the movie, you can go to the Seated Movie Club and then really get the real about how we feel, about very specific things. Anyway, like Ray said, we'll see y'all next week.
If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a like and tap that subscribe button. And if you're listening, give us a 5-star rating and review in your podcast app or wherever you're tapping in today. It'll really help folks find us as we grow. Seated is an independently funded production, and your support can help us go further. Consider becoming a card-carrying member of the Seated Movie Club at seatedshow.com/join, where we'll bring you more of this popcorn-worthy content, special events, and more. And how do we do all that we do? Well, it's not by ourselves. Our theme music was created by Buckrow and animation by Ajung Adi, with creative consulting by Jade Fox and publicity support by House of Arrows. This week's episode was edited by me, Ray Love Jr. Seated is a co-production of Slay Jean and 5011 Media. It's hosted and produced by Tre'vell Anderson and Ray Love Jr. Shout out to our location partner, The Walcott Yard. See you at the movies. Holla!
This is also it's now that you brought up breaking, it's also very similar, no shade, to Straw by Tyler Perry.
Well,
you said I didn't
talk
watch
about
that. You said I don't know nothing about that.
Got nothing to do with me, child.